Okay.
You
All
got
right.
Roberta? Okay, great.
All right. So again, airline steward fashion. We're on board for Seattle. No, we're on board for honoring your adoption narrative through the universal language of song. Ooh. So this is Lori Evans Ermi, a domestic baby scoop era adoptee who lives in Washington, D.C., suburbs of Maryland, with her adopted daughter Kate and loyal pup Oreo. We forgot about Oreo. You need to show a picture
Yeah,
of Oreo. See
thank
they? Aw, aw. There's a Lori's first book, Adoption Songs, heartwarming and heartbreaking narratives from the many sides of adoption, was released this year, an anthology of stories in the adoption constellation, and each person chose a song that resonated with their chapter, and that this is the title of their track. Lori is the founder and managing director of the Ermi Group, LLC, a leadership, coaching, and developmental firm. She hopes to use your skills as a behavioralist and professional certified coach to help with the pathway to hope and healing for every adoptee. So, welcome, Lori. You can take it away.
Thank you so much, Jean, and thanks for everyone joining us today. So a little bit about why music and song and all that just resonated with me and my daughter Kate. In fact, when we were thinking about the book, I had one of those epiphanies like 5 years ago. I had been thinking about my own adoption story. I was still in the fog. I knew nothing about the primal wound. I knew nothing about abandonment, trauma, or anxious attachment, or fight or flight. And as a newborn, knew nothing about all that. But I started, as the universe would have it, meeting people who were adopted. And I'm like, oh, what's your story? Because we all have our story. And they just were, I had 2 or 3, like, right back to back. It was so kind of bizarre and fascinating, and I got this, like, calling, and there wasn't a whole lot out there yet. People weren't really writing their stories in mass as, so many are doing that now, which is fantastic. Anne Heffron had her book out there, but there wasn't a lot yet, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, am I supposed to write a book?" So I'm talking to my daughter, who she's 17 now, so she was what, 12 maybe at the time. And I'm like, "Well, what are we going to call it? We can't just call it adoption stories. That's not fun." And she's very musical, and I was too in another life. And she said, "What about adoption songs?" I'm like, oh, people can choose a song that resonates with their journey, all that great stuff. So, we have a little, playlist, bookmarks, and that kind of thing. And so that just took off, and we just loved being able to talk with. We had adoptees and adoptive parents and others in the adoption constellation. Unfortunately, at the time, I was not able to get a first mom to feel comfortable telling their story. But I have since met several who would love to be in the next book, Adoption Songs too. So we're excited to get that perspective, represented as well. But so that's a little bit about how Adoption Songs came about. Went through a lot of change, went through a divorce, so the book went on hold for a couple of years, so it did take me a while to get it over the finish line, but on my birthday, July 9th, this came out, so Amazon and your favorite booksellers and, whatever, so, I certainly just wanted to be able to help, um get the message out there. Last night I was on a panel and told this story, so some of you were there with us, but I was in the fog when I wrote the majority of this book. And the interviews that I did with adoptees and adopted parents, and I have a couple of residual through DNA testing, birth siblings, surprise uh, type situations. I didn't know to pull the thread on the trauma, but it's in there. There's a couple of really significant pieces that unfolded even after I interviewed um, the people. So even though I didn't have the insight to to bring that up and really expose that, it's in there. Now I have an intro, which for those who were here a little bit earlier, We Belong. So Pat Benatar, I felt that really resonated, because for me it was about identity. I never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I belonged, and I still yearn for that. This community has certainly helped me. And then the outro, which just talks about resources and getting therapy and all of those important, wonderful healing things that are available now. The song that's there is Demons by Imagine Dragons, because, I feel that sense that there's just kind of those demons of the trauma that we all, experience. So I'm all about hope and healing now. And, how can we use music, right? How can we use music to make those stories that we've got, come to life? So we'll talk a little bit today about why music has a healing effect and honoring our own narratives. We're going to go through some visualizations and be thinking about songs from our past that might help us think about our stories and our journeys, where we are now in our present, our future. We're going to create a playlist together. If you're all comfortable sharing the music that we come up with, and I'm going to put it into a Spotify playlist and share that with everyone who's interested in having it. So I've got it started already, and we'll continue. So I hope it's interactive and fun, and I'm going to try to toggle back and forth with playing some music in between. But let's start with an icebreaker. Let's get everybody kind of stretched. It's the end of a wonderful and intense couple of days of learning and connecting and healing. So I'd love for everybody to take out their phones, their iPhones or Androids or whatever you've got, and I want you to go to your pictures. I want you to find a picture that brings you joy. I want you to find an image or a picture that brings you joy. So we'll give you a minute to go ahead and do that. And if you're in the chat, if you want to just put a +1 in there when you found your picture, then I'll know that we're ready to move on. So if you found a picture, just go ahead and do a +1. Thank you. That's great. Okay. So why don't you share with us what picture did you pick, Amy? Oops, I can't hear you. Oh, I see that. Can you tell us a little bit about it and come off mute? Everybody can come off mute. We're a nice intimate group.
Yeah, I was trying to do it through my background, but that's our little dog, Gary,
Oh,
which he actually is Gary with 2 R's because we wanted to be indignant when people misspell it. And we thought Gary was a funny name for a dog. So
that's
there we
great.
go.
Love it. Thank you.
And when we say Gary won't stop licking himself, we like it if people are wonder if that's a person or a dog.
Good. Well, that just brought me joy. So thank you. All right. Who
Anyway,
else would like to go?
he's just
Oh,
a happy little dog and he makes us smile.
aw, that's good. I love that.
Oh my
All right. Who else would like to share?
God.
Jean, you're going to share what brought you joy?
This is just it's a picture of me and a friend at Cub. So there we are. We're having a good time at Cub. So Concerned United Birth Parents in where was that? Kansas City. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
fairly low down in my feed. So there we are.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you. All right. Who else is willing to share?
Uh, mine, oops. Mine is the waves off the 9th floor balcony of a cruise ship.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
That one brings me joy.
Yeah, I'm feeling all kinds of joy.
I have
Phil or
another dog one.
puppy.
Guy. Yeah.
And a little puppy. Good.
I was going to say, I'll keep the dog theme also. This is Roger and Barb, aka Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift in their Halloween costumes.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Thank you. That's great.
And I love the names.
So that's perfect. Anybody else feel comfortable sharing what brings them joy? Don't want to make anyone participate if they're not comfortable. All right. Well, thanks so much. And the purpose for doing that, it's one of my favorite little activities I do. I do a lot of team building and organization development kinds of things, but I find that people are much more receptive to me doing my thing when everybody's already happy and that we've had a little dopamine hit. And that's exactly what we just experienced was a little hit of dopamine, and music absolutely has that same hope and healing impact, the neuroscience of music. So, what I can do is I can't put stuff in the chat and do my slides at the same time. So, I'm going to go ahead and put this article that may be of interest to people around a study on music and its impact on mood and health and all that stuff. So, um, yeah, so that this particular study, what they're finding, and this is maybe no surprise to you, but I loved it, and it really just helped with why I continue to use this theme of playlists in my work, and not just with the book, but it's been proven to help heal. Its healing properties. It improves mood, and music can change your mood. We can reduce pain. Listening to happy music when you're sad, it can help, but listening to sad music when you're happy can also be part of a healing process, which I found very interesting. It also lowers blood pressure. So listening to a tempo, a steady, a low pitch without lyrics can actually bring down blood pressure. Stress management is really helpful in terms of hormone levels and anxiety reduction, and can promote relaxation, as I'm sure we all know. Great in building relationships. It's our brains associate certain music with times of our life. I'm sure everybody's experienced the phenomenon of hearing something, you're like, oh, yeah, I was in 8th grade when that came out, right? Um, Also, increasing lung capacity. So, if you're listening to music as you're doing some kind of exercise, even if it's just a nice walk, that will help with the lung capacity, and also decreasing pain. So, it can help with chronic pain by releasing these endorphins, changing the catecholamine levels in our body. It's also a distraction when pain triggers some painful memories. So there in the article that I posted in the chat, they talk about the top 5 songs with the greatest dopamine impact. Oops, and I had a hot link in here. And I'm curious if you all can relate to why this one might do it. Claire de Lune. So in the chat, I invite you to just jot down a couple of emotions that are triggered when you hear something like that. What has that done for you, hearing music like that? Nostalgia, lightness, peaceful, calming, yeah. Yeah, as I've gotten older, I have appreciated classical music more so than I might have in the past. Oh, Rena's a musician. Oh, yes. Um, I found that it just absolutely was so relaxing and calm, and also the color blue. So combining my classical music love and the color blue, my whole house is blue as I reinvented my life. Um, I seek peace and calm always. So, all right. Let's see if I can get this to stop. There we go. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to create a playlist together, and only if you're comfortable in sharing what these songs are as we go through 3 stages. We're going to do a visualization in each stage of our past, some early recollections. We'll do one in centering ourselves in the present, and then discovering our healing playlist for our future. And then I'll put it all together and we'll put it on Spotify and share that, as I mentioned. So hopefully this should be fun. And I like this little saying that I found just the other day. Sometimes you just have to shut the world out, close your eyes, and turn up the music. So I like that. Then, of course, Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, for bloody's sake, turn off the news, turn on some music. And that came up on the day after Election Day. So I grabbed that one. All right. So I know that we have had long days. We're overwhelmed with all the learning, but I invite you to just sit back and have some reflection. You know, sometimes the past is not always some of the best memories for our community, but I invite you to sit back and if you'd like to shut your eyes, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. And I want you to be thinking about what some of your earliest memories might have been. And who is there? Who do you see? And where are you? Are there any smells that come up from the kitchen or the outdoors? And what are you feeling? What images might come to mind? As that past reflection passes by, how old are you? What were you dreaming about then? What hopes did you have? What dreams were there? What were your fears? And what are the sounds that you're hearing now as you think about those earliest memories? All right, so now take a few moments to think of, look up a song that represents this past. You can pop on Spotify or check out your Pandora or YouTube or Apple Music, or if you already know that song that's coming up for you. But we'll give you a couple of minutes to think about what that is, and then we'll share. And go ahead and do that +1 for me as you come up with that song, and then I'll know that everybody's ready. Okay, give a couple more minutes. All right. I'm gonna be building as we're sharing our playlist. So I'm on Spotify. So I'll go ahead and look up some of those songs that you guys are sharing as you're talking about the song. Kathleen, since you were the first to +1, are you comfortable with sharing the song that resonates from your past?
Well, it's not so much my past, because I'm a late discovery adoptee, but it's the song Roads by Chris Mann.
Yeah, great. Okay. Yeah, anything you want to say about that song that
It's just the way he talks about all the different roads just really hits me in a powerful way.
yeah, I love that.
And also because of my age, I'm 67, so there are more roads behind me than there are in front of me.
There are. Yeah. I'm gonna see if can you hear it? Is it playing it? Can you all hear it? No. All right, let's see. Zoom is temperamental when it comes to being able to listen to music. So give me a second as I all right, let's see. This should do it now. All right. Yes. Now I can see you.
Or wherever you may go, they will always lead you home. There are roads that have led me to another, to a friend or to a
Okay, that's
lover.
great. That's a pretty song. I'm one who like I never know the title, but when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really beautiful song. So thank you so much for sharing that, Kathleen. All right, Darcy, how about you?
Cats in the Cradle, Harry Chapin.
Mm, yeah, want to tell us a little bit of why that resonates for you?
I mean, it's about relationship, but it's also a song that I listened to a lot as a child.
Mm. Give a little taste. You can hear it? Okay, good. Yeah, that brings back memories for me too. Thank you. All right. All right, Roberta, how about you?
So one that I always think of is Tracks of My Tears by Smokey Robinson.
Mm, tell me more.
It just makes me think a lot of the masking that I did as a kid, pretending that everything was fine when it really wasn't.
Yeah. Did people know? Could they tell? Or were you really good at the masking?
My adopted family knew because they were abusive, but the people outside in the community didn't know.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great song too. Ooh, this playlist is going to be so powerful. I'm so grateful to you all. All right, Jean, what do you have for us?
So my parents wouldn't allow anything other than show tunes or classical music to be played at the house. But when we went out to dinner, particularly at Shakey's Pizza, I got to go to the jukebox. And just because of the time frame that, you took us back to when we were young, it's like Cher, Half Breed popped into my head. And it was a really powerful song. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really apply to me from any kind of a racial standpoint, but it does apply to me in that I'm half this and I'm half that, man, all the time. So that's what I'm going with.
I love that. That's a fabulous visual too, a metaphor for all of us. Good old Cher, man. She is still, man. I don't know what she's 78, dating like this 23-year-old man, and I'm like, Wow. I don't think I could date a 23-year-old, but more power to her is all I have to say. Oh, Amy wants to know, where'd you grow up to go to Shakey's?
Yakima, Washington.
Well, there was
Roberta's
one in
been good
Elkhart,
friends.
Indiana, but there hasn't been for 20 some odd years. We miss it.
It's like, whatever.
I know, it was a big change. I remember it too. Okay, that's good. Bringing up lots of memories for all of us. Appreciate that. All right, Amy, how about you?
Well, I feel like a little bit of a poser in here. I'm an adoptive mom. I'm not an adoptee, but um,
Thrilled to have you here. I'm right there with you.
but mine wasn't from my earliest memory we just thought about, but it was a lot in my teen years. It was the song Someone Else's Star by Brian White. Um, and it's been in different phases of or different like parts of my life, but kind of always feeling like a secondary person in
Ah,
people's world that I felt like they were primary in mine.
mm,
That was the song that I listened to over and over and over.
mm.
Alone again tonight, without someone to love.
Mm.
Stars are shining.
The contrast from Half Breed to this one is stunning. Yeah, love the narrative you've got with that though. Thank you so much. All right, Rena.
My song that I wanted to contribute for this is Old Friends by Ben Rector. It's kind of a song that kind of talks about like your oldest friends and how they're always going to be your friends. And I think that just I've always like kept my friends close. And I think like part of that is being an adoptee. So this kind of just like captures that sentiment.
Mm.
I still find Wiley's house, riding on my bike with eyes closed. I could name every girl that he took out from
Nice.
my
Thank
memory
you.
diary's house phone.
So Phil, I didn't know if you wanted to participate or not. This is purely volunteer, so but I didn't want to leave you out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you calling on me. Um, I just so disjoint. I mean, didn't listen much to the lyrics of lyrical songs much when I was a kid. I was very early into classical music, not because I had to, but because I really enjoyed it. And and music's played a huge part in my life, both as I studied music in college for many years. Thought of being a professional, but I didn't. But the songs that meant a lot to me were the ones that just moved me emotionally, and I really can't explain why. I'm not really good. My right and left sides of my brain don't seem to talk to each other. So my words and my feelings, I don't know, they're disconnected, it seems. But anyway, I like songs like the ones that bring up emotion for me are like that Big Bad John, and I'm not big or bad. I'm the opposite. I'm 5'4" and 129 pounds. And but the song, the courage of him and, standing up for others in selfless ways, and I think I just wish somebody would pay attention to me and that I could do something. I felt like I had to do something to make myself worthy of existence, because as a child,
The mind you could see
yeah.
him arrive. He stood 6'6" and weighed 245. Broad at the shoulder,
Yeah.
narrow at the hip.
And how's that changed for you? And thank you for sharing your heart.
And what do you mean, how's that changed? In what way?
How you've evolved, from where you didn't necessarily feel seen.
I'm still evolving. I'm not young. Um, but I'm still dealing with the feelings of wanting to even speak up in times like this, to being willing to be seen. I was invisible all my life, and that was my security. And if I was competent, if I did things, I would get beat up in school, right? So I learned to just exist in the attics and basements of life. In fact, somebody just texted me between sessions about why can't I do more things for myself? And the answer that came to me is that if I am competent, if I show up and am myself, people will kill me. Now, that's not rational, but that's what came up from inside me, right?
Oh, that's the cortisol. Yeah. The fight or flight.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
So
I'm holding you, and thank you so much for sharing that. It's
thank you for
special
holding
that you,
space.
yeah, it's special that you felt you could speak, and I love that. April, I know that you're probably just popping in to check it out, but I didn't know if you had a song. Our exercise was songs from our past that might resonate with our journey. We're building a playlist for us all that we'll be sharing at the end of the session. So I didn't know if there's a
I love
song for
this.
you and your journey that you'd like to include in our playlist.
I love this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I had to go for a walk outside. I needed to get up and walk. So sorry if there's a lot of background noise. Well, first of all, whoever said half breed all day with that, because there was that song resonated very much for me as a Black biracial, transracially adopted person. And then Isn't She Lovely, Stevie Wonder, which was always like this song that was like, did anybody actually think about that for me when I was born, like less than 1 minute old and all that moment, that one. And then I think the last idea of like, I think it's I can't remember things that every time you go away, take a piece of me with you. And that was like my brothers were going to the military when I was like in junior high. And I remember like that those are the first people that ever left me as like an adolescent in a meaningful way. And I just was gutted. And every time I heard that song, and I wasn't like particularly close to my brothers. I was a little bit, but like they weren't like it was outsized emotion around them leaving. And any leaving song would just totally emotionally activate me. So there's a few, just a few. But I love this topic. It's really great.
Can you repeat the one that resonated about your brothers? I was
I
looking
don't
up
know the
the
name of the song. It's like the lyrics are every time you go away, take a piece of me with you. I think it's John Waite, I want to say, or like it's a ballad by I don't remember his name.
All right. I'm going to take note
It's
of that. See if I can
it
find.
is sorry, Lori, it's Paul Young sings that.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I
Thank you.
just saw
Thank you.
Paul
Thank
Young.
you.
That's an 80s flashback. I love it.
Yes. All right. Here, let's see if this is it. Ooh, that's a weird thing. All right. Okay. And we're building. All right. Anything that came up for you did I miss anybody? I'm trying to look and see in the chat and my Spotify at the same time. Jean, hold me honest here. Did I get everybody? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That was lovely. Anything that you'd want to just close our past with, go ahead and put it in the chat. If there's a word that kind of, ties a bow on the past as we move into the present, we'll go ahead and do that. All right. Too many screens open here. Thanks for your patience. There we go. Oops.
There's no such thing as too many screens open.
All right. Do we see the present? Yeah. All right. So we're going to get a little centered, and I'm going to do a little visualization and get us in the mindset of our present and our current mindset, where we are today or yesterday and tomorrow, but just really in this space of this session or this year or this just moment in time. And if I invite you to shut your eyes if you'd like, but where are you now? You know, where are you? How would you describe how healthy you are, how grounded you are? What matters to you today? Where has your journey taken you, where you've landed in this moment and in this room and in this session? Who do you surround yourself with? What are the joys? What brings a smile? How do you thrive? What are your triggers? What do you pretend not to know? Sit with that for a second. Okay. So, what song is your anthem? Go ahead and think about that. And I'll ask you to do the same. Do a +1 when you found a song, and I'll fire up our Spotify. So, as people are thinking, I'll go ahead and throw out which song was mine. I'm kind of obsessed with Keen these days. Didn't even know who they were. I was working obsessively in the '90s, so I missed the band completely in the early 2000s. But as I'm on my healing journey, not just from the trauma, but I went through a divorce and my whole identity was obliterated. Where, well, boy, if I'm not a caretaker, my ex-husband had a stroke in 2002, traumatic brain injury, very childlike, impulsive, teen-like um, ability to function and cope. So I was definitely a caretaker for a very long time. It wasn't easy, but I was loyal, and um, it was hard, but I wrapped up my identity and all that, and he woke up one day and decided he wanted a divorce. It was a blessing to me. I did not realize that certainly as it was happening because, I just went into this crushing, um, okay, if I'm not a caregiver and the breadwinner and all of that, where, I mattered, it was important that I was around. Who am I, right? And starting all over again at 58 or 9 or whatever I was. So A Bad Dream is the song that I picked kind of for my present because I'm kind of awakening from this bad dream, and talks about, I'm just not a fighter and I don't want to fight, and I want peace. I want calm. I want joy. So Bad Dream was the one that I picked for my present. All right. Amy, would you be so kind to kick off our present song list building?
I think I would go with, I, I guess I know I'm a 90s country girl, but I would go with Unanswered Prayers from Garth Brooks. There were a lot of things I really thought I wanted in life, and no, I didn't.
Mm, that's pretty powerful. Anything else you want to say about that?
Um, nothing. I don't know that anything specifically really deep, but I do know with just a mm, small example is I swore I was going to marry a dark-haired dark-eyed man who towered over me, and I have a blonde-haired, blue-eyed husband for the last 26 years who's about an inch shorter than me, and he's absolutely perfect for me, and it wouldn't happen any other way. So just that one little example, but so many other ways that I had no idea what I wanted, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Just the other night.
I like that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Roberta.
The one that always comes to mind for me is Stronger by Mary J. Blige.
Mm.
And I think I first came across
Right.
it in an old documentary on LeBron James. But it just, the song really moves me. It's about, sort of surviving challenges in your life and working through them.
She's so good.
We've been through it all. We had some close calls, but never was wrong. Come down the mountains, walk through all the valleys, and you never left me behind. Found my way through the clouds, or I'm staying close in my heart. Oh, I will be true.
Thank you. All right, Darcy.
I think I would pick July. It's by Leon Bridges and Noah Cyrus.
Tell me why.
I mean, the lyrics are pretty straightforward, but it's about heartbreak.
I'm a July birthday, so I'm gonna have to really listen to this.
Holding my breath, I can count to 10 over something you said. I've been holding back tears while you throw back fears on the bed. You know why I'm afraid of change.
Thanks, Darcy. Jean.
So it's not a new song, but it's like it just settled into my head and then it wouldn't go away. Voices Carry by Till Tuesday.
Mm.
She's feeling gumption today, apparently.
I like it. Oh, I'm gonna listen to this playlist and remember you all sharing this with us. Love it, love it. Thank you, Jean. Rena.
So the first one that came to mind, it has one bad word. So if that's not our kind of like, topic here, I have a second backup. But the first one that kind of came to mind was Healing Hurts by Blue Eyes. And it kind of just talks about like when you like enter into like the journey of healing, how it's not always linear, how it can be like really, really tough work. I think that's kind of where I'm sitting now. But if that one's not, it's got one bad word. So if that's not the vibe, I also have Into the Breeze by Dean Lewis, which is just kind of talking about like why do we sometimes like self-sabotage ourselves and like things like that.
Feeling better.
That's great.
Stitch my life back together.
Well, Astrid threw out a couple of words, so I'm feeling like we're safe here. This is all good. We're in brave space, right? That's great. Thank you, Rena. Do we still have Phil?
Well, I'm here, but I have absolutely no idea.
No, that's okay. How about
I might
Kathleen?
borrow one of Rena's, you know? I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
we can search and reapply, no problem. Kathleen, do you have anything you wanted to share?
Well, for me, it's a weird one, but it's The Door by Teddy Swims. And in the beginning of it, it talks about being lied to, and as an LDA, I lived through that. But one of the lines is, "But tonight I saved my life when I showed you the door." And 10 years later, I'm realizing that my divorce literally saved my life.
Hmm.
You saw me lies where you look, taught me a language that I'll never speak. Maybe that ain't for me, that ain't for me. I took my grave box where you move. You took me higher than it ever flew. Too many times, yeah, second chance. Maybe I'm just a man, just a man.
So Phil, I don't want to let you off the hook just yet. Because you bring lots of diversity to our group here. So you mentioned that classical music feels like it's in your soul and always has been. Is there one of a classical song that just comes to mind that maybe gives you some peace as you are navigating your terrain?
It's just so hard to narrow it down to one.
That's fair.
Um, I
But
mean,
I'd
I
love to
love all
have you
kinds of
included
things.
in here. I don't want you not in the playlist.
I mean, I love Bach because of his power, his constancy, the patterns that reappear, the fact that it just goes on and on and on and weaves all these various parts together. I love counterpoint. That was my favorite class, you know, and all, you know, separate voices going together, all musical. And some it can be played on organ, piano, harpsichord. It can be sung lyrically. It can be done orchestrally. It's just so much variety is what it can be. So it's like, you know, the interesting thing about me too is that I've just been realizing this recently is my dreams are mostly surd. I don't hear anything. I don't hear voices in my head. I don't think vocally at
Mm.
all. It's all visual and I have to translate it into words to be able to say it. Or I just open my mouth and words come out, but I don't feel them or hear them in my head. So I think that's part of where I have trouble with lyrics. When I hear them, they can be very meaningful, but I don't get into pop music that much just because a lot of it doesn't resonate with me. But I
Mm.
mean, the things you say, the ones that have been shared here and what they mean to you just sounds very meaningful to me. And I think part of why I came was to expand out, you know, and to maybe find things because, you know, music is so powerful, and I like all kinds of styles.
So if you had to pick a Bach, what would it be?
You have to make me pick. I don't know. There's just so many. The first word that came to me is there was a rendition that some people put together, sort of a one-time direct-to-disc thing back in the 80s of The Art of the Fugue, which was his unfinished work. And they played it right out to the very end. And they did it both instrumentally and they did two versions. They did a version that was Baroque to the Baroque, and then they did it sort of avant-garde contemporary, you know, with different instrumentations, percussion, all kinds of things. And it was just absolutely beautiful. It was like the story of his life and the story of life to me. So there you go.
I had to drag it out of you, but it's fabulous. And I love the story and the background and how, thank you. You're really adorable. I really appreciate you still playing along. Good.
Thanks for drawing me out.
My pleasure. We all win when we're all included. All right. Did I get anyone? Anyone? Yes, we're good. All right. So, anything that's different, I would love to hear some distinctions from when we were thinking about the past to where we're landing in our present. Anything come up? What was that evolution like? Did you feel how you were moving across those life stages as Astrid talked about today? Oh, I'm going to put Rena's in here too. What are we thinking? Oh, moving from past to present. Any noticings?
When you were doing the visualization and stuff, again, completely different story than a lot of people in here, but my feeling was contentment.
Mm.
Was that that's kind of where I've come to a point in my life that, might not have everything, but I'm content.
Yeah, and that's such a gift because so many of us are not, right? Appreciate you sharing that. All right, I'm going to just hop in the chat here for a second. I did add Bonnie Raitt. That was like one of my karaoke tunes. I was a singer in a previous life, and that was one of my staples. So that's added in there. Did we add anything else? I added experience.
I feel like one that I've heard just over the course of this whole weekend would be Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of a theme of the whole weekend.
Yes. And I also added from some other conversations, Billie Eilish, What Was I Made For? That's also resonated with some people and, or what am I here for? Or what am I made for? What am I made for? Okie doke. Well, let's move into our future, discovering your healing playlist, whatever you discovered in this journey of where you are in your present, where Amy felt content, others may still feel a little restless. Phil shared he's still got some vulnerabilities. Um, these songs that, Darcy mentioned some heartbreak, so we're all in a little different season, but, we don't have to stay here. We can, if that contentment is where we want to stay, then we absolutely can. But let's start dreaming about where we want to head and what does the future, our pathway to hope and healing bring us. So I'll ask you a couple little prompt things if you want to shut your eyes again and feel centered. Because the future is a little elusive. We can't see it, but we can manifest it. And I believe so strongly in the power of our thoughts. And our brains do believe what we tell it. So if we tell it we're content, it's going to believe we're content. If we tell it we're confused, we're going to be confused. So we do have the power to really create and design that future. So I like to be thinking about that pathway to hope and healing. And I want you to think about that you are already living your best life, whatever that is. You're selective, you're discerning, you're choiceful in the things that pop up for you and all you do. You're calm, you're centered, you're loved, you're seen, valued, appreciated, carefree, no debts, no struggles. You're free. Sit in that place. What are you surrounded by? Think about the song that represents the vision of this future. Thanks, Rena and Darcy. Hmm. Amy, thank you. She just posted something pretty cool around manifesting what we believe in, and that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks, Roberta. Give you another minute or so to think about that playlist for the future. All right. Well, a couple of you are still thinking about it. Mine is Mrs. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. I'm very, very sentimental as a person, and I've been super reflective in this phase of my life. And I love this movie. The book, of course, was brilliant, but this movie and the soundtrack and how it ends, and I just feel super happy when I hear Mrs. Darcy, and I cry, but happy tears. And it's something that really just moves me and it brings me joy. So I've included Mrs. Darcy as my future song. All right. Rena, would you like to share first?
Yeah. The song that came to mind for me is Medication by The Collection. And I think it's kind of like a reclaiming of yourself. And it one of the lyrics says, uh, I'm thinking of futures, reaching for sutures, trying to reclaim my time. And it's just kind of like the whole premise is like you deserve to be well. So it's like I don't think I'm always in the mood to kind of have this like not upbeat, but like a motivational feeling of like being well. But I think like that's where I do want to be well and I do want to get there.
That's powerful. All right. So I'm looking up and they've got Damian Marley and Stephen Marley. Is that who they or Garbage?
No, I think if you just medication, the collection, I can put
The
a link
collection.
for it with
Okay.
Spotify. Yeah.
Let's see. I didn't add the collection. Ah, there it is. Got it. Okay. It's in there. Let me make sure that it's right.
I was scared of what it meant
Yeah.
if I needed medicine.
Okay. Let's see your little thumbs. Thank you.
Keep my demons in every now and then. 'Cause I remember when I cried. I was trying to survive. It's like a dream you could die to the light.
Okay, thank you. All right, Darcy, what you got for us?
The first thing that came to mind was This Is Me from The Greatest Showman.
Oh, that I love it, and we're gonna because that's our grand finale. So we're gonna add that in there, but then that's our encore, our that's great. All right, I'm not gonna play it right now. So tell me why. Tell me what brought that
Oh,
to
I
you.
just it's right, it's all about like fully like self-acceptance and like celebrating of like one's like full self. And yeah, I feel like that's an ideal. Right?
Yes, it is. All right, hold on one second. There we go. All right. I lost my Spotify. There it is. Okay. Thank you, Darcy. Roberta.
This one might be a little esoteric, but it's by Jason Mraz, Have It All.
That's perfect. Yeah. What's that mean to you?
It's a song he really wrote for his kids and his hopes for their future. And I think at my stage in life, a lot of my energy and focus is on my kids, and they're my only bio relatives that I really have in my life. And so I just have so much hope for them that, you know, they'll have the life that I didn't have.
Happiness, may you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. Or may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Or may the road less paved be the road that you follow.
That's great.
Well, that you're gonna break. Here's the things that you're gonna change. Here's the infinite possible ways to love you. Should have been. Here's the times we're gonna have. You don't need money, got free pass. Here's the that I'd be sad without you. Want you to have it all.
That's great. Thank you. All right, Jean.
Yeah, so just a song that's always just given me a lot of peace and a lot of centering, and I feel like that should always be a part of my future and self-acceptance, and it's called You Gotta Be by Desiree.
This is in my little walking playlist. Really.
Listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds. Try and keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you tears. Go ahead, release your fears. Stand up and be counted. Don't be ashamed to cry. You gotta be bad. You gotta be bold. You gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard. You gotta be tough. You gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool. You gotta be calm. You gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Carol, what your mother said in the books your father read. Try to solve the puzzles in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you, others take a different view. My, oh my.
Fun. Okay, let's see. Kathleen, are you wanting to share with us today?
Well, the first song that came to mind was one I'd only heard for the first time the other day. And when I tend to hear songs for the first time, especially when they hit me, and this one was just so beautiful, but it's a little depressing. It's A Safe Place to Land by Sarah Bareilles. So that was in my mind, but something more uplifting would be the cover that Chris Mann does to My Way.
Okay, I'm gonna do both. I like them both. And what was the difference for you that as you were deciphering between those two?
The Sarah song is more about someone handing you a safe place to land, whereas the Chris Mann song is you're making your own way.
I just got chills from head to toe. Wow. That's big. Thank you for that. I think that's a gift to all of us. Hmm. Thank you. My friend Phil. I see you, but I can't hear you.
My computer is super, super slow. It's part of my curse. It took me
Yeah,
a while to unmute.
you're fine. You're
Okay,
fine.
I actually have one here.
Good.
Um, it's from a movie. It's the end song. And one of the ways I worked out my emotions was movies and soundtracks of movies. And the ones I liked the most were ones where the soundtracks are completely immersive. And I guess I got into the lyrics of some of them, though I can't always quote them. But this one here is from the end of a movie that within probably less than 2 or 3 years, I had watched it 40 times. And I'm not one that watches movies a lot of times. There was another one before that I had watched like 36 times over a period of 3 years. And it's because there were themes in there that just deeply resonated and connected with my adoptee soul that I couldn't put together otherwise. And so the song is Swan Song by Dua Lipa. And it was the end for Alita Battle Angel, which is sort of a juvenile, anime sci-fi adventure type of thing that I just happened to find in the DVD section at the library. I thought, this looks interesting. I think I'll watch this. But the themes are, this is not a swan song, meaning I'm about to die. Staying silent is the same as dying. It's a new life, and I'm trying, kind of wanting to be reborn into a new life. I raised my kids. I spent 15 years as a single parent, giving myself up to that, moving to a new state where I didn't know anybody. And my kids went to college. 8 years after that, I thought I would have my life then. I didn't get it. My daughter just got married this summer, my youngest. And so now this is my time. Maybe I can have it.
Time. It is. And your future, you're creating it now, Phil.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. I'm excited for you. And you know what? You've inspired me. I'm just telling you right now. And when you said that lyrics just didn't pop out for you, you're more, instrumental. I was the same. And I realize now I'm actually listening to lyrics at age 61 for like the first time in my life because I always heard the music. I resonated more and gravitated more towards the music or the tone or the flow or the beat or whatever and or the instrumental, right? I mean, I enjoyed picking out like, like I love watching an orchestra and all the parts and how they come together. So thank you for giving me words to that because I've been thinking and I'm like, why don't I know the words to these songs? I should. Now, the high school ones, the anthems that all came out back in the day, of course I know those. We Will Rock You. Not a lot of words to learn. So I was okay there. So thank you, Phil, for giving me some words to describe a feeling I had for a long time, didn't know how to say it. So, okay.
I
Do we have,
have I have a couple.
oh, Amy,
Uh,
I'm
um,
sorry I missed you. Where'd you
that's
go?
okay.
Oh my gosh.
I
Talk to
have
me,
that
girl.
obnoxious background because IU is probably winning right now, and I'm pretending I'm there. Um,
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for making sure I didn't keep going.
um, I kind of came up with two. One of them was "One More Day" by Diamond Rio, and I think that's looking to my future. Is the somebody had used the term that I use often is the sandwich generation. That's where I am right now in my life. And so I know those feelings are coming as older family members, we start to lose them and things like that. So that's kind of where that was. But the other one is kind of um, more based on like my husband and my family, and I see that in my future is Mine Would Be You by Blake Shelton.
There it is. Yeah.
Last night I had a crazy dream. Wish was granted just for me. It can be for anything. I didn't ask for money or a mansion in Malibu. Simply wished one more day with you.
Nice. All righty. Well, we have built an incredible playlist of hope and healing for the future. I thank you so much for your hearts and your stories and your willingness to share in this beautiful, intimate space. So I want to just say bravo and thank you.
We
This
got a
was-
request to share one more here.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Just the last one I wanted to share was Call Your Mom by Noah Khan. I've been like recently getting into like some more folk pop. And he's an artist who's been very vocal about his like mental health struggles. But this song is just kind of him like talking to you and being like, hey, like I see you're struggling and like I'll call your mom, like I'll be that person for you. And so it's just something I kind of put on playlist like sometimes when I'm like spiraling or kind of in that mindset. And kind of like the beat to it too can get very rhythmic. So it's kind of like soothing in that way as well.
Never make them get on the line. You be tired night till you let it out and let it in. Don't let this darkness fool you. All lights turned off and be turned on. I'll drive, I'll drive.
All right, I just put our playlist in the chat. So hopefully y'all can grab that. And I put our AKA picture on there, so you should be able to find it when you get there. So, oh, this is great. Well, I want to leave us with what Darcy had come up with. I don't know if any of you have, hold on, let me make sure that the volume on my video works. Let's see, share sound. Yes, okay. This video is the song "This Is Me" that was part of the greenlit. This was the do or die if this was going to become a movie. It's kind of the behind the scenes for it, but it's a really powerful clip, and I just think it'd be a great way to wrap it up. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. And
Benj and Justin have just written this new song called "This Is," and we knew that it was going to be the anthem of the film, but no one had heard it before, and no one had heard Kiala sing it live. Kiala, who I didn't even want to come out from behind the music stand.
I didn't.
I kept saying to her, just step out because this is your moment and you have to step out into the ring, metaphorically, because that's what you're doing and you got to stand right there in front of everyone and just belt this out.
And I didn't want to. In fact, I stood behind that music stand until the day of that presentation. There was a moment in the song that I actually was so scared that I had to actually grab Hugh's hand so that I had somebody to hold on to. And then we got to the end of the number, and all I remember is just deafening applause. It was a sort of otherworldly experience.
It was one of those moments that will stay with me the rest of my life. Unfortunately, we filmed it.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say. We don't want your broken parts. Learn to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say. Go on now, you'll be as you are. But you won't let them get me down. I know that there's a place for us. We'll be glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down. Gonna sing, gonna drown out. I am who I meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. See, I'm this is me.
Sound went away for a bit.
Yeah.
The sound's not coming through at all.
This is who you are. This is me.
Oh God, I cry every time I see that. Um, Thank you for being in this space today, and I just ask that you all make sure you're out from behind that music stand and that you live your life because we all matter and we have a lot to offer this world. And there's a reason that we're in this world and a reason we're in this world together today. And we're going to kick some ass and take some names and we're all going to make a difference and we already are. So, thank you. Have a good rest of your night.